Hi, my name's Catherine Brillinger, and I'd like to talk to you about effective teaching presentations, how we can take the mini lectures that we share with our students during our lessons and make them helpful for all students. Sadly, I hear teachers talking sometimes rather pessimistically about the students that they have in their classes and how hard it is to bring those students to the level that the teacher wants them to be at in terms of the subject matter that's being taught. But we have to always reflect on how challenging it is for students to come into post-secondary education for the first time, or into a subject area for the first time, or imagine coming from another educational background, from another culture, into my classroom, and to try and meet the course, the program, and the professional expectations. And we're wanting students to provide meaningful expression, to speak well and write well about the concepts in our fields, about those core concepts, to display critical thinking. But it's not easy for students to reach the level that we're hoping for them, but it's not impossible. And I think that if we revise the way that we deliver the content, we can have more success. And that's what I wanted to talk about a little bit today. Professors worry when they see learners in what's referred to as transmission mode, and I'm going to define that in a minute. And I think that one of the reasons is that we see ourselves in the transformation mode. We're excited about the subject matter. We know so much about it, and we've had years and years, sometimes decades, of opportunities to interact with that subject matter, and we want to bring learners up to that level. And I'm certainly not saying that's impossible. I mean, that is our goal, and that is what we want to accomplish, but we've really got to appreciate how challenging that journey can be and help them make that journey more doable. A framework that I found helpful in looking at where students might be in comparison to where I am or want them to be is the transmission mode versus the transformation mode. When students are in a transmission mode, they're often there because they're new to the subject area or they're new to post-secondary education. They show a great want or need to memorize basic facts from the field. They gain security when they're acquiring knowledge from an authority in the field, and they tend to be quite passive in their approach to their studies. The responses and test answers can appear quite shallow, painfully shallow, and they often see our role as fact-sharing and providing evidence for practices in the field. And students in the transmission mode are challenged at conceptualizing and sharing knowledge with others. The student wants to get the credit. They want to get the marks. If things go wrong, they'll often say, but I worked so hard. I tried so hard. And so there's a gap between where the student is and the way that they're trying to approach the material and the way that the professor is understanding the material and sometimes delivering it. So I find that most professors are in a transformation mode, and some students are here as well, and these are often the students that will shine in the classroom. They have experience with the subject area and or previous post-secondary experience, so they know how to learn in the way that we'd like them to. They want to move beyond basic facts to exceptions and controversy. They gain energy from critiquing accepted ideas and norms, and they tend to be quite active, thorough, and organized in their studying. They're the students that are often a joy to have in the class. They show experience in test taking and meeting expectations. They see our role as professor as facilitation of the class time and sharing experiences in the field. They show strength in conceptualizing course content and working with others, and they want to create new knowledge and find personal meaning in their studies. These are beautiful things in the transformation mode, but they're not things that every student is ready to share at the beginning of the semester or even in the first few years of the program. So how can I help my students to move along the transformation continuum? An important part is to have a really good mini presentation from the professor every class. This is where the students who are at the transmission mode end of the continuum will be eagerly trying to get the facts, get the things that are really solid from the teacher. I try to keep it about 8 to 15 minutes long, and I try to organize my PowerPoint and my delivery so that it's quite easy for students to take notes and see the major categories of the discussion. Ideally, the presentation contains content that balances the need of the learners all along the continuum. So the transmission people will be getting their facts, their terminology, their basic concepts, but the transformation people will know that they're going to be using that to do some practice and discussion very shortly. When you look through the diagram below, you'll see that that information can be put into the presentation part, but that you can use the BOPS continuum from tip number 1 and help people move along the continuum in many different parts of the lesson. In my time at the college, I've taught in diploma programs, in degree programs, and postgraduate programs, and it doesn't matter what semester or what year I'm teaching in, there will be individuals in the class at various points on the transmission-transformation continuum. And so I've prepared a circle for you showing various points where I enter into my mini lecture, into my lecturette, and depending on who I've got in the class, they may be more comfortable with entry at one point than at another. For example, in the transmission end, starting at terminology and definitions and subject matter knowledge, facts and examples is a very comfortable spot to be. Whereas if I have students at the transformation end, they're kind of like want to sink their teeth right into the central problems in the field. So by making sure that I enter into the field in all of these different ways in any one presentation to some degree or another, I can give everybody a level of comfort. So very often at the beginning of the semester, I'll start at the terminology and follow the cycle through that way, so that at the end of my mini presentation, we're talking about a central problem in the field. But as time goes on, I might actually start a presentation with a central problem and then add in the type of terminology and facts that would be needed to address that problem. And I find by having this cycle in my mind, I'm able to make sure that I'm covering all ends, all the whole range of the transmission transformation continuum. I always find it a little bit sad when teachers say the students just aren't where they need to be when they come into our classes, because the students are where they are, and I don't think it's really changed much in the decades that I've been teaching. We always need to balance various levels of education, ability, knowledge, and experience in our classrooms. We want to bring learners to a level where they can create new knowledge and ways of thinking, but that can really only be done very slowly and with great effort. And that effort is really occurring mostly on the part of the student. We're there to help students to learn and to put things in place that can make that possible. And it requires a lot of input and work. And we need to make sure that we're providing information not too far away from where the student is. If you look back at Krashen's theory, it's I+1, one level above what the student's able to do now, rather than way, way, way above. But because of the multi-levels in the class, we've got to do a really quite interesting dance between providing enough and not too much. If the student has time to reflect, positive reinforcement and feedback, I've seen amazing changes take place in students, whether it's over a semester or over a couple of years of study at the college. So it's so incredibly gratifying to see when they are able to move along that continuum to transformation. So by entering your teaching presentation at various points in the cycle that I shared, using each point to some degree each lesson, I certainly myself, I found myself better able to help all of my learners, and I hope that